In this video, I'm going to talk about how I would run cold outreach for an ecom agency to book 20 to 60 sales calls per month. And for context, I run Scale Sprints. We're a B2B outreach agency. We do both cold email primarily and then also LinkedIn. And we help a lot of different agencies. In particular, some of our clients are e-commerce agencies. And I've generated over 5,000 leads on instantly.ai. I'm one of their recommended experts. That's the largest dedicated cold email tool in the world. So that's a bit about the background. And also, we've helped companies like Coad here generate 37.5K in net new MOR in only 8 weeks of sending cold outreach. We also have Austin Becker Marketing, and we basically helped them reach full capacity from new deals from outreach. So they had to hire new people in order to actually fulfill all the deals that they were getting from cold outreach. So the first thing I want to talk about is volume, because if you're targeting e-commerce, it's a niche that is, or it's an industry that's getting a lot of outreach. And so that's obviously because there's a lot of demands. Basically, all e-commerce stores need some sort of agency that they're working with, whether that's an email marketing agency or an agency that's running their paid ads on Meta or whatever the case might be. So there's a lot of demand, but there's also a lot of supply. So a lot of your competitors will also be sending cold outreach. And so you need to make sure that you optimize volume and get volume higher than your competitors while still also maintaining high email deliverability. So the first step here is to map out as much of your total addressable market as possible. I'm going to get to some of the data aspects of this, but you want to find as many data points as you can that basically fit your ideal customer profile. And I recommend sending 5 to 20,000 emails per day, unless you're targeting very specifically. So if you only work with, let's say, apparel, or you only work with, I don't know, skincare brands or something, then obviously you can't afford to send that many emails because you're going to burn the TAM too quickly. But if your only criteria is, let's say, this e-commerce store needs to do over 100K in MRR, then in that case, definitely you need to send 5 to 20,000 emails per day. Now, sending that many emails and avoiding the spam folder is kind of a different science. So that's a topic for a different video, but you want to make sure you have a really good email infrastructure provider. You want to make sure you're optimizing deliverability once you do send these emails, because if you're doing that without good email deliverability, you're just going to land in spam. You're not going to be able to book meetings. So that's the first aspect, is optimizing the volume here and getting a super high volume approach. Ideally be sitting in that range of 5 to 20,000 emails per day. The next thing is the offer. This is a really, really important thing too. In a lot of cases, you really need to have a good front end offer or a lead magnet in the emails. Now, if you're targeting specific industries or niches and you have really good case studies within those niches, sometimes you can just pitch the call straight away and you don't need any like front end offer or upfront value or anything like that, because maybe your case study just speaks for itself and they're going to be interested. But in a lot of cases, you just need to be able to stand out. You need to be able to show what you can do before they hop on a call, because they have like 10 agencies every single day that want to hop on a call with them. So you need to be able to provide something genuinely valuable upfront. Of course, now we have AI, so it's a lot easier to generate certain personalized assets, which is also a topic for a different video, but that's something you can sort of play around with. Of course, there's also free work. We've had a lot of success like building just free stuff for them, like maybe building like an abandoned cart flow or something like that. That's something that gets you a lot of interest. It really boosts your positive reply rate. Now, of course, this will mean that you, like, this inevitably means that you have to do more work before you actually book the call. But the way I view it is you have to sort of look at that as a form of customer acquisition cost. If you have to do 2 hours of work to acquire a customer, but that's a 50K LTV customer, then it's still going to be worth it, right? So that's sort of how you need to think about it. And also, you can do some sort of, let's say you do a project for them, which is not like your full retainer service, but it's something that you can provide as sort of a foot in the door that's not as risky, doesn't require as much of a commitment. So let's say it's something where it's a sub 5K project that delivers real impact for them. I don't know what this could be, maybe building landing pages or building email flows or whatever the case might be, right? But this is something where you can get a foot in the door and then upsell them later down the line. So yeah, and again, to that point, you want to balance fulfillment difficulty with reward, right? That's the whole point, is that it might be difficult to fulfill on some of this, but again, you need to be able to realize that they're getting a lot of outreach, and you need to be able to stand out. And even if you have to do work and you have to commit labor up front, you're still going to acquire that customer down the line, and so it's going to be worth it. The next thing here is some ideas for some lead magnets or front end offers. This is particular for an email marketing agency. I've just given some examples here. So we have a Loom / PDF showing exactly which of their core flows, welcome abandoned card, post purchase win back, are missing or underperforming with estimated revenue leak. We have another one, take 3 of their recent subject lines and rewrite them with open rate optimized versions plus one line explanation of why. We have a short data piece on what top performing ecom email programs have in common, blah, blah, blah. So you can read this for yourself, but there's some examples here that you can check out. And really, it's just a matter of testing all of these. Not all of these are going to be super attractive, so you just have to test it. But the good thing is we're sending a lot of volume, so the data that we're going to get on this is going to be very statistically significant. So you'll be able to draw conclusions and see, okay, this particular lead magnet, they really like that, so let me scale that up and do that instead of these other ones, right? So it's just a matter of testing to see what works. The next thing here is the data. Now, particularly for e-commerce, I recommend going with Store Leads. It is the largest e-commerce database in the world. They have millions and millions of stores, Shopify, WooCommerce, whatever the case might be. They have it all on there, and you can also filter for specific software that the store is using. So, Klaviyo or Triple Whale or something, right? You can see what sort of software are they using, and you can do your targeting accordingly. So that's a very helpful database that we have access to, and this is what we use for all our e-commerce clients. And by the way, if you want to work with us and just have us run this entire system for you to generate you 20 to 60 sales calls per month, you can check out the link in the description. You can book a meeting with me and we can see if it's a fit from there. So that's basically just a short while here about the data. And also you want to make sure that you're actually AI pre-qualifying the data. Even if you filter for like websites using Shopify, sometimes you're going to get certain websites that are maybe using that, but they're still not in e-commerce for some reason. And you want to be able to have the AI check through the website to make sure that they're actually in e-commerce, which you can just do with something like Clay and use an OpenAI API key. So that's something you really want to be able to do at scale. And that's basically what I want to mention with the data. The next thing here is the type of campaigns to run. So typically what I recommend is having one campaign, which is an evergreen campaign. This is where your targeting is quite broad. You're doing a very low friction offer. So some of the lead magnets or front end offers I showed before. And you can be sending 5,000 to 7,000 emails per day on that as an example. And then we have another one, which is lookalike campaigns or segmented campaigns. So let's say you have a really good case study and you can basically use a tool to find lookalike companies. We have a tool we use for this purpose as Scale Sprint. So we can find companies that are really, really similar to that particular company, and then we can do segmented campaigns that run in conjunction with the evergreen campaign. So we get both the specificity of the niche campaigns, and we also get the volume of the evergreen campaign. So this is a really good way to segment your campaigns. And of course, you wouldn't be able to send as much volume on the lookalike or the segmented campaigns, but they can be more focused and they can have a more direct call to action, right? In some of these cases, you might be able to directly book the meeting because you have super relevant social proof. Now, another thing here is deliverability management. As I mentioned, I won't go too deep into that, but it's something where you need to really make sure you have optimized this. You want to have build out a system where you're optimizing email deliverability by doing warm up, by using spin tags, by having a rotation infrastructure, so you can basically rotate domains back and forth to optimize deliverability. You need to be able to switch out any domains that get burnt. And you really have to do this. I have a graph here which basically shows the two different scenarios. The red one here is where you're just like running with one infrastructure. You're not doing a lot of spin tags. You're not optimizing deliverability. It's going to work really well in the beginning, but then it's just going to completely dwindle. Whereas if you're building a more solid infrastructure where you follow best practices, it's going to just be a steady increase in results because you're able to optimize deliverability over time and you're getting better replies because the copy is getting better. So it becomes a positive feedback loop instead of just becoming a downward spiral where deliverability deteriorates over time. Now, obviously, one thing that's really important is return on investment. You want to make sure that you're actually running a profitable system that not only gives you a good customer acquisition cost, but also provides a sufficient amount of deals on a monthly basis. So let's go into this cold email earnings calculator here, because this is going to be able to show us what we can expect based on certain metrics or certain assumptions about the metrics. So let's say we have a total addressable market of 100,000 contacts here. Let's say we send a 3-step sequence, so one initial email and 2 follow-ups over the span of 2 months, which is the campaign window here. Let's say we get a 1% reply rate, just conservative here, and a 15% positive reply rate. So out of 100 replies, 15 of them are positive, and then of those, 30% actually convert into like qualified meetings. And then we have a 25% closing rate and a $15,000 customer LTV. With these assumptions, that means we're going to send 300,000 emails during those 2 months. So that would be 150K per month. That would generate 1,000 replies and 22.5 meetings booked per month. And then we can see what this would result in. So that would result in 11 deals closed in 2 months. And given the customer LTV, that means the net new LTV closed per month would be around $84,000. And the total LTV closed for the 2 months would be $168,000. So what this means is that if we can just hit these metrics, if we can just get a 1% reply rate, if we can just get 15% of the replies to be positive, and we can convert just 30% of the positive replies into meetings, and we can close 25% of the meetings, and we have a customer LTV of $15,000, this is the amount of revenue we can add. And so if you do that over a year, it would be 6 times this number, because it's a 2 month campaign here, and you just basically recycle the term once you finish it. So you go back to the beginning of the list and you start going again, and you can suddenly see how cold outreach is starting to become a really profitable channel here. So that's what I wanted to cover in this video. Again, if you want to work with an agency like us, if you want us to build and run the system for you and set up all these KPIs here and really make sure that cold outreach becomes a super profitable channel for you, then you can check out the links in the description. You can book a meeting with me and we can chat further. So thanks for watching and have a good day.